All right, welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. It's a day where the market is under pressure, and Brian Sozzi's favorite topic is top of mind. That, of course, Sozzi, is what's happening on the inflation front. And we've got some interesting commentary today from Liz Ann Sonders and, of course, Target CFO Michael Fidelki, you talked to earlier. Actually, Bill McDermott of ServiceNow saying that he's not really worried about inflation, but I think it always depends, of course, where you sit inside of the business universe.
Well, Miles, my favorite topic is not just inflation, it's also corporate taxes and the potential bone-crushing hit higher taxes could have to profits, right, Julie? But nonetheless, here we're looking at inflation, and so far this week we're getting a lot of retail earnings. Home Depot yesterday, its president calling out major inflation in most parts of its stores, most parts of its departments, notably on lumber prices. You have Walmart CEO Doug McMillon also calling out large amounts of inflation in its business, notably in the supply chain, so that's logistics. That's likely delivery as well. And then we just talked to Target's CFO, Michael Fidelki, and he really answered, I think, a key question here. Can a retailer the size of Target still grow sales or can still grow profits while it's seeing inflation? Here's what he said.
We believe we've got a model that's proved its durability over time. And so it all starts for us with growth. When we have a healthy top line, when guests continue to turn to Target more and more, we can make the rest of the P&L work out with all the levers that we have to pull. So I'm really confident that we'll be able to translate continued growth and market share gain over time into growing profits.
So for right now, you're seeing, I think, retailers starting to push through price increases. Home Depot's CEO Craig Menear noted towards the tail end of his earnings call yesterday, they are passing through price increases. And even still, even with really large increases in lumber prices, people are showing up and buying all the lumber they could. It will be interesting to see if they continue to do so in the second and third quarters as those prices continue to rise, Julie.
You know, Brian, there are a couple of interesting threads to pull on here. First of all is the idea that these various retailers and companies more broadly, because we've spoken to other companies that have talked about this well, the so-called levers that they have in order to pull to try and save costs in one place so as not to take the inflation hit. In the case of Walmart, as we talked about yesterday, they're still able to keep prices where they are, not to raise prices because that's an important priority for them. Then you have the case of Target, which, has already higher wages for its employees and is still managing to pull those levers in various other places. So that's one thing that I find is interesting, the different other measures that companies will take. And then the second thing I just want to mention on lumber, which is something our Jared Blickery pointed out yesterday. Yes, lumber futures have come up a lot, but they're also down a lot from their highs. And I think, as he said yesterday, they're actually in a bear market. So even though those lumber prices are higher than a year ago and they have been painful for the Home Depots and Lowe's of the world, they're getting a little less painful than they were, even if, we talked to a lumber analyst earlier in the week who said 1,000 is the floor. 1,000 is still quite a bit lower than they are at the moment.
I've heard it in a number of different contexts over the last couple of days, whether it's lumber, whether it's crypto, whether it's the stock market itself. The cure for higher prices, the cure for high prices is high prices. Basically meaning that when the price of lumber, crypto, anything gets so high, people say no mas. They say I am out of this market till it normalizes. And I think at least on the lumber specific point, you're starting to see some of that come into the price and some of that come into the conversation as it relates to where that price is headed. Where that 1,000 board foot price for the futures contract is headed. So we'll certainly follow that and see if 1,000 does indeed prove a floor, which, as you know, Julie, is about a triple from where lumber prices were not too long